This is a video that I've wanted to make for an incredibly long time, but I've held off on simply because the thought of making it makes me incredibly nervous. But after what happened today, I feel that I need to speak about it because this shit is getting out of hand. And I think unless we change, and I'll talk about who we is in a moment, like who we are, the enemy of America is going to win. And the future is going to end up not being bright for anybody, whether we realize it or not. But what the hell am I talking about? Today what happened was the Actman and Quantum TV drama came to a head, where if you guys need to be caught up on the Quantum, I'm not going to go over it in this video, but you need to be caught up on the Quantum TV drama, but I'll give you guys the super Cliff Notes version. Basically, he's and I'm putting up air quotes here, TV calibrator who is incredibly narcissistic, incredibly bigoted, an extreme right-winger, a conspiracy theory promoter, and a copyright abuser. And what happened was he filed a copyright takedown, a false copyright takedown against the Actman, who is a larger YouTuber, because he made a video on Quantum TV and said some things that Quantum TV didn't like, and because Quantum TV is a little bitch, he falsely struck down the Actman's video. And what happened was that Actman submitted evidence to YouTube of all of Quantum TV's bigoted, terrible, hateful takes, and that he's had in the past and still continues to have to this day. And YouTube came back to him and just said, yeah, no, I mean, like, we found him innocent. Basically what happened was Quantum TV deleted all the evidence from his Twitter, from his YouTube, just all the incriminating evidence. And because YouTube doesn't save deleted videos anymore, which is understandable, the server upkeep for something like that would be absolutely insane. So I don't blame them that when you delete a video, it vanishes into the ether. I don't blame them one bit. But the undeniable evidence that was submitted to YouTube, they said, yeah, this, there's no evidence on this guy's channel, so we can't really do anything about it. Actman made a follow-up video, and that got stricken down today. And that video, actually, no, it got stricken down yesterday, excuse me. It got stricken down, and then his channel was demonetized today. And the main thing I can only assume is that because he continued to press the issue after the fact, after YouTube gave him a decision on Quantum TV, that they just saw it as bullying and took his videos down and stripped him away from the monetization, or the partnership program, excuse me. But there's a larger issue that I want to talk about here that I think really plays into the downfall of America itself. Now, I know that's a huge jump to go from just talking about some YouTube drama to the downfall of an entire nation, but I think that what happened here really speaks to the dichotomy between intellectual, intelligent, liberal thinkers and backwards-ass, conservative, diehard Republican Trumpers. So what the hell am I talking about? What do you see with Republicans nowadays? What do you see with them? They're always these narcissists who have the worst opinions ever, the most transphobic, the most racist opinions that you could possibly get. And every time you call them out, it's always, look at me, I'm being oppressed, these guys, blah, 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 blah. They never admit fault to anything. And that's exactly what's happening with Quantum TV. Think about it. He pushes election disinformation. He pushed COVID misinformation. He did all these insane things. But because Republicans never admit fault, and if you understand how human psychology works, that emotional, stupid part of our brain interprets that as strength. Think about that. When you never admit fault to anything, when you're always throwing out accusations, when you're always jumping to conclusions, doing things like that, those are obviously terrible traits to have, and those are things that I've been guilty of in the past. I'm not going to lie, but that's going to factor into things that I'm going to talk about in this video later on. But essentially, with everything that's happened over the last couple years in America, and the reason why the Republicans just keep fucking winning is because liberals have this one chink in their armor, this one horrible flaw, and not just liberals, but just people with common sense in general, is that lawful good cannot win against chaotic evil because chaotic evil plays by its own rules. Chaotic evil goes outside the rules. Like, here's a perfect example to talk about with this. Do you guys remember back when Obama was president? We were nearing the end of his presidency. He nominated Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court. And the Republicans said, "No, we're not going to hold a confirmation hearing because we don't want you to pick a candidate." And their defense was, "Oh, well, it's almost an election. We should let the American people decide." And then when Trump gets into office and he starts picking Supreme Court nominations, the Republicans are like, "Yeah, we're going to rush these through. We don't care if an election cycle is coming up. We don't care if the midterms are going to happen soon. We're just going to go ahead and do it." That's the problem right there. Because if you guys remember, Michelle Obama was on stage or on social media talking about, they are going to take, they're going to go low, but we're going to go high. We're going to be the bigger people and be better than this. Well, here's the thing. President Obama, in the Constitution, it says that the president absolutely has the right to appoint a Supreme Court nomination if the Senate will not hold a hearing. But because Michelle Obama and a bunch of other Democrats who were like, no, you know what, we could, if the Republicans in the Senate aren't going to hold a confirmation hearing, then all we need to do is just, we can just appoint them straight away. Since they decided not to do that, guess what? Because of that, Roe v. Wade is now getting overturned. So we got the moral high ground, but guess what? The Republicans got the Supreme Court. Now, the next point, and I'm going to tie this all together. So I know it sounds like I went off on a tangent there, but the next point I want to make is, so just from that, I want you guys to take lawful good does not win against chaotic evil. Just take that first point. Now let's go on to cancel culture, and this is the next point I want to make. And like I said, I'm going to tie this all together. The thing is that with cancel culture, I'm not completely against it. I think Quantum TV deserves to be canceled. I think he's done a lot of horrible, bigoted, racist, offensive shit. He is a conspiracy theorist. He's a whack job. And there have been other people who have absolutely deserved to be canceled. I get it. I'm not completely against it. But if you guys, going back to that original point of chaotic evil wins against lawful good, you guys notice that the Republican Party and people just like that in general, they tend to be more united simply because they're able to accept whatever differences they may have because they know that they're working towards a common goal, and that it's only liberals that tend to cancel their own. Think about that. Liberals will go after other liberals who make mistakes or have done mistakes in the past because they want to, they're like, we hold everyone accountable. We hold our own accountable, which is good. I wish everyone did that. I wish everyone would hold everyone in their own groups accountable. But what you have to realize is that the Republicans are going to support a child rapist and hide behind, we don't want abortion to become legal. They'll do that because they realize that it's going to work towards their larger goal. And that's what I'm saying. So how does this tie into the Actman situation that happened today? Actman used to say a bunch of offensive things. I don't know if he used to be a genuine bigot or if he just liked offensive comedy like I do, but here's the thing. If he was just making offensive jokes, then fine, whatever. I make offensive jokes. But if he was being genuinely bigoted and he learned from his mistakes and is a different person now, which he absolutely is because, he's condemning Quantum TV's awful shit that he said in the past, then that's something that needs to be celebrated, that he's learned and he's changed. And what I'm thinking is that because his content was stricken down and that he was removed from the partnership program, I would not be surprised if a bunch of his old tweets resurfaced, and YouTube was like, yeah, well, I mean, like kind of like what happened with EDP 445, where like the predator poachers, like, yeah, they caught somebody trying to do horrible things, but they conducted the sting operation in a really unprofessional way. They, like they did it in a way where EDP could not be legally charged with anything, and they've also done a lot of terrible stuff in the past, so they ended up banning both. And what I'm thinking is happening is that YouTube is like, yeah, well, we'll knock Quantum TV down in the algorithm, but we can't technically ban him because there's no evidence on his channel or on his Twitter anymore, because he doesn't fucking have an official public Twitter anymore. But because the Act Man has made edgy jokes in the past, we're just gonna we're gonna remove him from the partnership program. Think about that. That is insane that happens. And this ties into me, because here's the thing, and this is the big thing I want to talk about here in regards to my future on this platform. I love offensive comedy, but if you guys have seen my Twitter, and well, before it got shut down, but my Twitter or my TikTok especially, where I actually post most of my political views now, you guys know I support critical race theory. You guys know I support BLM. I want police reform. I want gay rights to be, like I want LGBTQ rights in general. Like, I just want all of these things to be enshrined in our democracy, because that's what makes a healthy society. But because Democrats, a lot of them want to go for virtue points, they'll just be like, oh, this guy said slurs in the past. Oh, we don't care what context he said it in. We don't care if he said it as a joke. We're just gonna go ahead and cancel him. And Republicans will call this behavior out with Democrats, but they won't call it out with their own, because they know it's the Democrats' biggest weakness. They use it against us to win. And what the scary thing about all this is that, look, I'm an entertainer. I love making people laugh. I get it that my sense of humor is not for everybody, but instead of doing the mature thing and just saying, hey, I'm not, this isn't my kind of comedy, so I'm just not going to watch it, I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube, and I don't want to be silenced. I don't want to be forced into saying things or believing things that I don't really believe or don't want to say. Now, on the flip side of that argument, I completely understand. I get it that a lot of people who have been through trauma, whether it's an African-American person who's experienced racism, or a gay person who's experienced homophobia, or a woman who has experienced sexual assault, I get all of that. I get it that traumatic events can shape a person's worldview, make them distrustful, and I get it. I really do. And that kind of pain is horrendous. And I am white privileged, upper class, suburban teenage male. I have had it as easy as anyone can possibly fucking have it. My parents give me an allowance of $100 every 2 weeks. That is insane that we are wealthy enough to be able to do that. I'm going on a volunteering trip soon to a foreign country. I'm not going to name the organization or the place I'm going to, but I'm going in like a week to help volunteer in an impoverished nation. That is white privilege to the nth degree. But what I'm talking about here, my main point is that people, your intentions are noble and your intentions are good. I want to make that abundantly clear. I've met people from all different walks of life who enjoy different things. Like, I've met black people who think the hard R is the funniest joke and can be the funniest joke in the world, and I've met black people who absolutely despise that. And I think that what's happening now with this whole, if my conspiracy theory is true, and this is how I'm tying everything together, that if YouTube is going to ban the Act Man, or demonetize him, I should say, if they're going to demonetize him because they don't want, oh, well, he's had offensive jokes in the past, so we'll hold him accountable, but the guy who is still a bigot, the guy who is still a bigot and is still gonna, who's probably gonna go back to falsely copyright striking people, probably gonna go back to being a hateful, bigoted asshole. Though, it's a way to play to that stupid, it's in a way corporations kind of do what Republicans do, where they appeal to that emotional part of our psyche, where they're like, well, people will say, oh, YouTube ban or YouTube demonetize person who say offensive things, well, YouTube must be good then. They do good at enforcing policy. But if you were to dig deeper into that and you'd realize, holy shit, they let this homophobic, bigoted, conspiracy theorist, right-wing asshole get away despite the overwhelming evidence, and a guy who's still going to be like this after the fact? And then they end up punishing another guy because he just said some offensive things in the past and learned from his mistakes and doesn't do it anymore? It's like corporations are dictating the way we think in a lot of ways. The beautiful idea, and I'm not saying this sarcastically, I mean this, the beautiful idea of egalitarianism, equal thinking, is being turned into a soulless, hollow commodity that can be bought and sold. And it's reinforcing cancel culture. And we're canceling the wrong people. And we're letting the wrong people get away with terrible things. That's the ultimate point I want to talk about in this video. And what scares me so much, what scares me so fucking much, is I don't want to get banned off of YouTube, and I want to make the jokes I want to make. I have never in my life ever disparaged another person because of their personally identifying factor. Why do you guys think that someone like I Show Speed is so popular right now? He has a majority black fan base, and he is the funniest motherfucker ever. Now here's the thing. I am not making the point that, oh, I have black friends, or oh, I Show Speed supporters like that kind of comedy, so it must be okay to say terrible and racist things. That's not at all what I'm saying. Different people from different walks of life enjoy different things. Go watch my video titled 2 Xenoblade Chronicles Haters Get Owned. Those two guys I feature in that video, Savoy and a black guy, those guys are the funniest motherfuckers I've ever met, and I am still really good friends with them after years of knowing them. We met, like, they are both African American. Well, actually, no, African Canadian. I keep forgetting they live in Canada, herp derp. But they're both black. And we met in a Mario Kart 8 lobby where they suggested, hey, let's turn this into a KKK Mario Kart server. And they convinced the whole lobby to turn into, like, to change to play as the white shy guy because he looks like a little Klansman. And like, it was a mixed race lobby too. There were people from all over the world in it. And everybody was joking around and having a fun time. Look, my point is, we need to learn to respect other people's differences, and we need to learn to unite, even if we disagree on fundamentally different truths. And because if we do that, then the Democratic Party, liberals in general, intellectuals, we can start working together and put our differences aside, and we can finally make the world a better place and take down pieces of shit like Donald Trump, like Quantum TV, like Brett Kavanaugh, or Roy Moore, you know, like these awful, terrible people. And this is something that absolutely needs to happen soon, because our society, like, you guys need to watch the movie Demolition Man. The Nostalgia Critic did a review of it, and his point about that movie is spot on. It's a movie set in a dystopian future where society has been split apart into two different extremes and nobody can get along. And those two extremes, one side is an overly babied, pansy, fucking like overly sensitive, no offensive things can ever be said, safe space freaks, and the other side are these fascist enabling anarchists who are these underground troglodytes who commit acts of terror against the people who run the country on the surface, you know, those safe space people. Watch Demolition Man. Absolutely watch that, because yeah, it was a comedy when it came out, but it's a fucking documentary now. Look, the bottom line I'm trying to get at with all of this is, I understand, like, to people, like, to minority groups around the world, whether you're gay, you're black, Asian, or bisexual, whatever the fuck you are, your experiences are not invalid in the slightest. And you guys, like, I get it that your heart is in the right place, but we need to change. My fellow liberals, progressive, egalitarian thinkers, We need to unite and band together so we can stop these things from happening. We need to stop corporations from reinforcing cancel culture. We need to stop letting people like Donald Trump get away with heinous shit. And we need to stop getting rid of good comedy, because all of this shit is going to take us to a future that's overly sanitized and overly distilled on our side. And the other side is going to keep storming the Capitol every time they lose an election. And that's a fucking scary thought to think about. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, favorite, subscribe. Have a good day, everybody.